Almighty, who is the creator, and Jesus is also the creator from the beginning of time. So I'm going to take this further by going to another room to refer to, oh no, I'm just going to reposition myself. To refer, like never before in history, because of the Daniel in the lion's den by a female version, when people totally uneducated and undoing of I just got this dressed upside down on my label. So you're going to label the poor with mental health labels, with social injustice label, not to provide me with the defense to say I'm going to reject being a wolf in being a sheep in wolf's clothing. I'm going to reject that, but we are like the sheep in wolf's clothing. So we want to skin the enemy. We want to make sure that the criminals are not set free and that they serve their time, rather than having, so that it's the other way around. They're setting free the criminals. They're making money out of unholy wars, and putting the innocent people in prison. So this is the layout of many people that are experiencing social injustice, being targeted for social injustice. I'm still in my night dress. So as a disabled woman who is usually laying down in my bed is going to be demonized and demoralized compared to somebody else who is a man, who is politically involved, who is laying down in his bed and saying that he is also sick and that he has cancer or he has any other problem, but he is showing off that he has more rights than me to be protected by that which we can all see. Run away with me to another world where we rely on each other. So, where we rely on each other. I have a spot on my nose that I need to get rid of. It keeps coming back. I don't want to be nosy, and I don't think anyone should be nosy when it comes to weaponizing my relationship with the opposite sex. And sexualizing it on the internet does not empower women. So if I have come across as sexy, and I wasn't supposed to come across as flirting, if I have done, I have deleted that post because I'm not the type that would go around flirting on the internet or selling anything sexual, any sexual content. So the propriety of my personal content that had been stolen, and then the virtue signaling, those that are more morally correct compared to me, is out of order, because it's a type of a vampire that's sucking you dry, versus holy type of vampires that are looking to put right what was put wrong. Yeah. So if I'm exercising on the internet, that could be sexualized. Which makes me very angry that the disabled people, they don't have more protections. In fact, we have less protections, and more dysfunctional aspects on the internet and social media for being I don't want to be defenseless. I want to be able to defend my human rights and not to be disgusted, even if it is disgusting, the activity of, or even the side effects of using the internet for the right reasons, not for the wrong reasons. So, for example, they're saying I haven't had my COVID jab vaccination, which is not the same as immunization. So they're going to categorize me as being an anti-vaxxer, without giving me my choice. So they have automatically already categorized me as an anti-vaxxer, which is totally unfair. It's the same as blurred vision. It's the same as somebody who's blind. To put people in categories and labels on them for doing something or not doing something, which is supposed to be politically correct. So since when has my personal health got to do with anybody without my permission? Since when has my personal health that I have decided to publicize and initiate had people behave like piranhas, snapping at me, saying, oh, it's mine, it's mine, it's mine, it's mine, it's mine. Since when has that happened? So my personal health care and package seems to have been grabbed out of my own hand into somebody else's hand without my permission, which is totally out of order. So I don't think that this is right or fair. It's very unfair. So we should all say, ho fum, I smell the blood of an Englishman. When you have no people attack my gender, my age, my health. I'm not smoking, I'm not taking drugs, I'm not a criminal, I'm not into open sex casual relationships. And I do have expectations, and they're reasonable expectations. However, expectations can be disappointing because most people will rely on other people to make them happy, to give them a bun in the oven, to say that pregnant women should have more tools and more rights on the internet and protections on the internet compared to single women, which also makes me angry. To say, yes, a pregnant woman is fragile, but she should not have more rights compared to a single woman who is obviously less privileged because she's not pregnant. But both are a vulnerable category. Both are a woman gender. So they're both vulnerable. They're both. However, a disabled woman is more fragile compared to a pregnant woman. And so they don't like me saying that. They're saying I have to be the same or less important than a pregnant woman. So disabled women are more important than pregnant women, and single women are more important than pregnant women, according to God's law and order, not man's. So that's what makes me really angry, and which makes me a prayer warrior and a social justice warrior. To say that they have taken out of context everything I've said, my condemnations, and done the opposite in the name of witchcraft and wizardry to distort information and to break God's rules and God's priorities, which is a pervert and obscurance of justice. And so they're promoting this type of expectation to say that I now have to be sexualized, groomed for sex, tested. I think all men are actually the same as test tube babies, that believe that pregnant women and women who are having sex and married or have had lots of sexual partners are more important compared to women that don't. So this is a disorder, and these type of men should be tested as bad type of men. They should not have a position of power. According to my notes in my Bible, I think they're a bum. They're a bum of community. They should be the laughing stock as the condemned by God, because they seem to say that, blonde woman with blue eyes should be the center of attention. Pregnant women should be the center of attention. Single women should not be the center of attention. And women who are disabled should not be the center of attention. This is utterly shameful, disordered, dysfunctional. It's dreadful. It's monkey business. It's a rainbow ride, which is the same as LGBT and the Q. To identify yourself as less important or less special by a label, such as my clothing label, or by man's judgment. So I have said God made that judgment, the saints made that judgment, to say who is more important, who should be more of a priority, and who should have more channels and tools to enable them to be less vulnerable, to enable them to make progress, and to beautify those who have been tortured and deprived. Instead, they go and beautify something that shouldn't be, something that should be less prominent or less. So they don't care for Christ. They don't care for helping and supporting women who have had domestic violence and who have suffered poverty and persecution. They don't care. They only care for women who have been established, who are rich, who are pregnant, which is a social collapse. It's deterioration. It's a deterioration of that social structure. It's a damnation and all the negative D's in the dictionary. So a robot is not going to faint, obviously. In case of an emergency, the internet can also be useful to